Welcome to the Gov Forward multi-cloud webinar series brought to you by Caresoft and Government Executive Media Group. I'm James Hansen, the Vice President and Publisher of NextGov, the Federal Technology News Division of Government Executive Media Group. Through this series, we're featuring more than 30 technology experts covering virtually all facets of cloud security. These FedRAMP marketplace and multi-cloud technology thought leaders will highlight how their solutions enable agencies to address network security, data, and IT modernization challenges. You can see the full schedule of programs along with hundreds of related resources at caresoft.com/govforward. And now I hope you enjoy today's webinar.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Brad Berkey, and I'm responsible for global business strategy at Microsoft, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you to today's webcast. Today, we're going to talk about specifically, learn how to use Azure Gov to reduce costs and drive some efficiencies, presented by Microsoft and Caresoft. This event is part of a Gov Forward multi-cloud series. Today, we'll be hearing from Microsoft leaders and subject matter experts about the opportunity government organizations can leverage as they move to the cloud. Now, moving to the cloud can provide a real opportunity to innovate and streamline business horizons significantly. We will discuss and learn best practices and approaches in a panel conversation with Microsoft leaders with over 50 years of government and SAP expertise. But before we get started, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping items. At the bottom of your platform, you'll find several icons, including a Q&A tab, which allows you to ask questions. We'll have subject matter experts fielding these questions, so feel free to chat anywhere along the session that we're going through. If you experience any technical difficulties, you have a help button or icon at the end of the page. Now, joining us today, I have my friends Lily Kim, General Manager, Azure Government Engineering for Microsoft, and Marshall Whitley, Principal Program Manager for Azure Government Engineering at Microsoft. Lily and Marshall, welcome, and thank you for taking time today with me and our government customers to talk about what we're seeing in this space around cloudification. And certainly thank you for agreeing to talk to me about the insights and challenges our government customers are facing. Okay, let me get right to some questions. I want to start with Microsoft and SAP partnership. Now, we've had a long-standing partnership with Microsoft and SAP, and we enjoy a lot of joint customers. Both Microsoft and SAP are enterprise providers in the marketplace. So my first question is to you, Marshall. Why is the SAP partnership so important to both Microsoft and SAP and our customers?
We have a 20-plus year relationship with SAP, and it's important we focus on bringing value to our customers. As you said, Brad, we're both enterprise providers, and our customers expect, well, they demand, we help them innovate for the future. When you enjoy the market share both SAP and Microsoft does, there's a responsibility to our customers to help them innovate for the future.
Thank you, Marshall. But we want to talk about customers for sure. But in speaking about customers, Microsoft runs our business and SAP runs their business on our respective platform. What does this mean for our customers? Marshall, I'll start with you.
Yeah, good point, Brad. Microsoft does run our business on SAP, and this is material. It's critical that we use the technology we're asking our customers to use. I know Mike, the Microsoft CIO, and Thomas, SAP CIO, spent time with our customers in Amsterdam and best practices on our journey to S/4HANA. These best practices help us build better products for our joint customers.
That is material, Marshall, for sure. Lily, let me ask the same question of you.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate being here. So I really think this is actually more about confidence. I think our customers appreciate that Microsoft and SAP are working together from an engineering perspective to create joint solutions and reference architecture for our customers. So it's really all about delivering good product and providing confidence to our customers as they think about moving to the cloud. If you think about SAP workloads, they're mission critical to our customers. They are integral and super important to providing business insights and really running the business. And therefore, you want your cloud provider and your SAP provider to have a deep engineering-based relationship in order to help ensure that customer problems are being solved.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. And I love your comment there, Marshall, about it being material and the customers really are demanding it. Okay, there's been a lot of interest around this new announcement that came out about a year ago called Embrace, right? And I'd like to get your sense, and again, I'll start with you, Marshall. What is it, and what does it mean for our government customers?
Sure. Embrace is an example of an initiative developed between Microsoft and SAP. It truly takes our relationship to the next logical level. As I mentioned, our customers expect us to integrate together for their benefit. So Embrace is our journey to deliver and bring collaboration, innovation to our customers. And it has three main components. There's a lift and shift piece, a transform piece, and an extend piece. In the lift and shift arena, when customers want to move their SAP environments to the cloud, they have to look out what the deployment architectures will look like. How will they move their data? How will they work out the transition times to minimize downtimes and so on? So both Microsoft and SAP have created tools to help accelerate the lift and shift motion to Azure.
Well, there's a big journey our customers are facing, Marshall, and I know you've been working with the engineering team on what those reference architectures that we're jointly providing to our customers. But let me again ask that same question of Lily. What does it mean for our government customers from your perspective?
Yeah, Brad, I agree with Marshall that when we think about critical application customers using SAP, one of the most significant applications they're thinking about and moving to the cloud, it's really important that they think not just about the SAP application itself, but what it means to leverage the cloud platform that it's running on. So I think that's where the go together with SAP and Microsoft Azure is so impactful and important to our customers.
Yeah, and we've learned a lot of that deploying our own SAP landscapes, and I think we've been on Marshall, if I'm correct, for about 20 years, and really looking at those horizons for innovation. We'll touch on that a little bit later. But we talked about how important partners are to our business, certainly SAP. Relative to this topic, how will this involve our partners in the ecosystem? And Marshall, again, I'll start with you.
Yeah, absolutely right, Brad. Partners play a key role in our efforts with SAP. Partners are already helping our customers to migrate to their cloud, implementing best practices for SAP on Azure on their behalf, and how to integrate environments in Azure to realize desired business outcomes. Our customers expect Microsoft and SAP to collaborate so do our valued partners. I've talked to partners quite a bit about it, and they are key to this Embrace effort.
Absolutely, and key to how Microsoft and SAP work together to deliver that value. Okay, so let's talk about customers. We enjoy a significant number of customers running SAP. Over 60% of our government customers run SAP as their mission critical business application. And I argue that all SAP customers leverage Microsoft tools and technology across their enterprise. Every CIO I speak to expects Microsoft and SAP to work together to help them innovate. And I'll start with Marshall again, what do you hear from our government customers around that topic?
Brad, I hear the same thing from customers in the gov space as well. I mean, customers are making two important journeys. There's the codification piece and quantification piece. These journeys are driven by a few forcing functions. Some of those are government mandates, increasingly a need for improved IT readiness. We as citizens, we expect our government will engage in these journeys intelligently and leverage the new market capabilities in order to be successful.
Awesome. Now let's talk government, Marshall. What are the unique challenges our government customers are facing in their specific cloud journeys? Again, I'll start with you, Marshall. What are your observations in this space?
Yeah, Brad, so we work with a variety of public sector customers. We have state and local government, we have higher education, federal agencies on the civilian side, and of course the defense and intelligence space. They each have their unique challenges, but lately we've been working heavily with the armed forces. Their challenges are not only how do we get to cloud as quickly as we can, but they're looking into how cloud can help accelerate new programs that require significant IT infrastructure. How to ensure my new cloud environment is protected and secure. And probably the most pressing challenging that we're working through right now is how to provide greater visibility into the overall supply chain and national stockpile. It's a very complex challenge. Today, there are a number of services and agencies currently working to manage and optimize the national stockpile of assets, but these are done in silos. This results in high on-hand inventory and a redundant stock problem. This lack of visibility across these services and agencies drive up asset procurement and additional costs and results in a ripple effect of excess and redundant inventory across the entire Department of Defense. You think having too much of an asset isn't that big of a problem, but it really is. Unfortunately, it makes it harder on Joint Force commanders and local commanders as they can't get an accurate or concise near real-time view on where are my supplies, when will those supplies arrive, and what is the serviceability of those supplies when they do arrive. These questions are faced on two fronts: meeting the current operational demands in support of operational geographic combatant commanders, and second, being able to execute a national defense strategy against our hostile forces, terrorist organizations. After years of increased deployments, increasingly restricted budgets, limited full spectrum training, and reduced in-service maintenance periods, the DoD has more pressure now than ever before to effectively communicate and have visibility around their supply chain. We recognize this problem, as does SAP. We've both worked to create tailorable, scalable, rapidly deployable solutions and platforms that cater to improve the readiness of the assets for better asset visibility. While the mission of DoD and the government in general is fundamentally different from commercial customers, as I mentioned earlier, that isn't to say they can't leverage some of the best practices from the commercial space. The large-scale logistics and supply chains that exist successfully today on a grand scale. Here at Microsoft, we're helping to extend those supply chains and companies that participate in finding continuous areas for improvement and simultaneously improve and moving these environments to the cloud. Working with both with SAP and additional partners in this space, we're constantly looking for ways to quantify these problems and basically tackle them in a better way.
Thank you, Marshall. That's some really good insight, and I appreciate it. And certainly it gives a sense of that we're really understanding what the challenges our customer and government is facing. So this is great, Marshall. But you touched on logistics. Can you give me some examples of use cases where logistics played a role in the transformation?
Absolutely. So one example, we've worked with a very large global shipping container company, Maris. Right? From their point of view, their time to value is the fastest that they've ever been. Their connected vessels program took roughly about 6 months to get a single environment ready to track their vessels worldwide. Now that they're on the cloud platform, that same 6 months, they're able to complete the concepting, development, testing, and production deployment of that same environment. So that's just one example where adopting the cloud principles of Azure accelerated many IT projects for them.
And certainly understanding those cloud principles, I think, is really important, Marshall, and you touched on that important. And I think one of the things that Microsoft can do, and certainly the team that you and Lily have, can come and help customers understand how to look at those cloud principles to achieve those results. Lily, I want to ask the same question of you. Some examples that you might have seen in the same space.
Yeah, Brad. So, I've been at Microsoft for 5.5 years now, really kind of starting the Azure government business. And what I've seen, just really big picture, is that as customers are looking to move to the cloud, they're looking to find a trusted partner. They're just not looking for a vendor or a provider who can meet the compliance checkboxes and who have, the most number of services. Those things are important. Compliance is a minimum bar, and we'll talk a little bit more about security. It's very, very important, as is the innovation and all the services that cloud technology can provide, but they're looking for somebody to walk along with them and solve their business problems together. And I think that's where Microsoft, with this long history of supporting the government, over 25 years of really partnering with the government and providing IT enterprise capability to the market and to the customer and solving government mission problems together, it's a big differentiator and one of the reasons why government customers have been drawn to Microsoft. If you look at some of the biggest cloud procurements in the history of cloud procurements, we were fortunate enough to be selected for the largest of largest, and are deeply looking forward to partnering with the customer and really driving this transformation with them. Now, in addition to kind of this cloud transformation, there's always been, the data problem, making sure that data is accessible for decision making and insight. And so we continue to see government customers struggling with access to data and the ability to innovate. And moving to cloud really is an opportunity to innovate a lot more quickly in a shortened, timeline horizon, as Marshall was talking about. And we've done a bunch of work with very specific customers, one of them being the US Air Force, related to their Emergency Mass Notification System, EMNS. It was previously a hardware-based system running on localized installations at individual bases. And this made maintenance and operating costs extremely expensive. And so, this made Azure a natural choice, not only for cost savings, but an opportunity to develop a faster way to achieve their security certifications. And because of this, because of the cloud deployment, they were able to meet the Secure Cloud Computing Architecture, the SCCA guidelines, and associated certifications that should previously would have taken something like 2 years were done a lot faster. So, we took the opportunity, pulled together a collective team in partnership with F5, who helped Microsoft develop the Secure Azure Computing Architecture, SACA, and was able to develop and deploy the new EMNS solution to every U.S. Air Force base worldwide within the first year. And that was half of the original estimated timeline. So in my mind, this is a classic example of speed of innovation and creativity being the primary driver of a project without sacrificing security or increasing risk. And another example of how Microsoft is partnering with government customers and helping them solve their mission problems.
Lily, I love the fact that you brought up this notion of a partnership with our customers, and it really is that. And Microsoft has really embraced that notion of having that partnership relationship with our customers to really focus on solving their problems. And these are very specific challenges that you brought up. But you mentioned this notion of security enhancements, right? So let's go a little bit deeper on issues around security enhancements to meet, these ever-evolving threats, and certainly the ability to deliver new mission-critical operations and capabilities. Lily, I want to know if you can kind of expand on that a little bit more.
Yeah, sure. So Azure was built from the ground up to meet the strictest security and compliance requirements. For example, we were the first hyperscale cloud provider to get DoD Impact Level 5 certification, which is unclassified national security system data. We have obviously DoD Impact Level 4, we have CGIS, we have DFARS, that is obviously moving to CMMC, which we are supporting. Again, we have created Azure Government as an offering for governments. That is a separated sovereign offering to provide the highest level of security and the requisite compliance so that government customers can move out securely.
Awesome. Okay. So security is a key priority. Really appreciate you addressing on that. Certainly a key priority when moving to the cloud. But I'm going to point this at Marshall. Marshall, what about this notion of innovation, right? Innovation is really the end state, as you've talked about earlier. Can you expand a little bit more on innovation?
Yeah, absolutely. Our depth and breadth and experience working with both government and businesses create synergies that ensure access to the latest technology, things like IoT, machine learning, artificial intelligence, all that can be enabled through modern innovations through our secured cloud computing architecture.
Awesome, appreciate that. I'm going to get to Lily in a second, but Marshall, isn't there a new security guideline coming out in the next few months?
Yes. So you're talking about the new CMMC requirements. This is basically the cybersecurity maturity model certification. Right now, version 1 of this was just released in January of this year. Framework designed to assess and enhance the cybersecurity posture of the defense industrial base and the companies that support the defense industrial base. They have an association, accreditation body that's working to get qualified assessors authorized into the field to test the processes associated with the CMMC standard and further enhance the security of our nation's supply chain. Microsoft has a huge part and play in working with these assessors in the pending authorization for these third-party assessment operations to make sure that their cloud-based platforms and technologies continue to stay up to date and certified as they do today. It's a constantly iterative approach that we feel is a mission-critical requirement to protect the defense industrial base.
Marshall, thanks for double-clicking on that. I really appreciate that. I want to get back to this notion of innovation, though. Lily, I want to ask that same innovation question to you. What are you seeing around the opportunity to innovate in government?
Yeah, well, Brad, I think a quote from one of the defense customers sums it up for me, which is, "It is a truism that in an increasingly complex, competitive, and connected world, the challenge is not responding to what we know today, but rather preparing for what tomorrow may bring." An example of this is what we're seeing in the tactical edge space with devices and servers receiving telemetry, biometric data in real time from IoT connected devices. These tools and sensors need a mix of compute and transmit and express route in order to provide both local insight and organizational insights. And the ability to leverage a hyperscale cloud, think HQ, as well as edge devices that are both connected and disconnected to do edge processing, bring back data, do hyperscale processing in a data center, as an example, really provides an opportunity to innovate, not just in hyperscale cloud, but all the way down at the edge where alternate processing may happen. Just again, it provides the ability to drive insight to decision making faster. It's a very cool and interesting time in hyperscale cloud. It's not just centered in the cloud itself, but even at the edge with all the edge devices and the IoT and other things happening. So it's a very interesting time to be in IT and a very rapid pace of innovation that I think everyone would agree is faster than we've seen it in a while.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. Lily, I want to press on this a little bit more in terms of examples where government challenges can be addressed using the cloud. More specifically, what are some of the things that we're doing for these customers in the Gov space? Can you expand on that?
Yeah, sure. Each of our customers have their share of unique challenges, but almost all of them eventually run into the challenge of change management and governance. Whether they're using cloud simply as a lift and shift platform, or immediately embracing the cloud native capabilities that they have access to, the goal of the cloud really is to increase functionality and embrace innovation. And that does mean that at some point there will be change to your end user. And so proper change management strategy, as well as the associated governance of future functionality and the data and insight that comes from that, does become really critical path to any cloud adoption.
Greatly, I appreciate it. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just to add a little bit, budget becomes a big deal. So where cloud can be helpful to the infrastructure budget for government agencies is that it gives each agency the ability to decide the best makeup that works for them, whether it's playing a flat rate over 1 year or 3 year terms, think reserved instances, which makes it very similar to traditional IT hardware buying or pay as you consume, the pay as you drink model, which provides maximum flexibility for smaller budgets to really plus up and expand as needed and draw down when it's not. So it's just, there's a lot of opportunity and options for flexibility with cloud that you wouldn't find in a traditional hardware on-prem purchase, if you will. And as governments think about and customers think about what it means to move to the cloud, it does give some flexibility of options in terms of even thinking through CapEx and OpEx and how to best use budgets allocated to them.
Absolutely. And so we've talked about a lot of things here. We've talked about detailed examples of kind of how we're helping our customers. We talked about security, which is absolutely important. Talked about innovation. And certainly budget. So thank you for that, Lily. I have a follow-up question for Marshall. How do customers get in Azure Gov?
It's really easy. I mean, any agency member can request a free trial online. There is a short review process to be sure the subscription is created in the right Azure environment. Some agencies can use the Azure commercial sites in the US. All the US sites are FedRAMP High. Some agencies need to be in Azure Gov, so that's up to impact level 4, impact level 5. In some cases, they may need to be in our secret top up to impact level 6. You can procure directly with Microsoft and setting up an enterprise cloud agreement direct with us as we're on the GSA schedule, or you can work with any of the government CSPs and ISVs and you can procure through them.
Well, lots of choices, which is awesome. Okay, so getting started is easy enough. How do I ensure appropriate access, though, to the cloud environment?
Sure, Brad. So yeah, we're kind of getting into the topic of RBAC, or basically what's called role-based access controls. This isn't a new topic. It's more of the breadth of tools that are available to IT and to the management communities in cloud space. It's bigger today than it's ever been before. This means using tools like Azure Active Directory, Key Vault, security principles, role definitions, but also SAP capabilities and applications like governance, risk compliance, and identity management. By utilizing these tools, this is how you can ensure that a person that is responsible for a certain task only has access to systems and data that pertain to those tasks.
Awesome, awesome. I really appreciate this. This is going in the right directions. Now, I want to touch back on partners. Partners play a very important role in driving innovation and adoption, right? Microsoft and SAP enjoy a massive and powerful ecosystem, certainly in government and commercial. What roles do they play in this relationship? And I'll ask the question of you, Marshall.
Sure. Yeah, Brad, partners indeed imperative to Microsoft. I know Lily feels the same. For Microsoft, for the most part, we don't move, migrate, install, or deploy IT systems. We leverage managed service providers, cloud service providers, and service implementers to make sure that our customers are successful in both cloud migration and cloud sustainment. We provide the platform and the infrastructure service. We rely on the partners to basically knit all these pieces together for the end customer.
Awesome, awesome. So, Lily, I'm going to ask the same question over to you. How do you see partners' role in customers with the cloud?
Yeah, as Marshall noted, I 100% agree with his comments. Partners are super duper critical to enabling our customers and solving their mission problems. And when we use the term partner, it's a broad term. Our customers have partners who do migrations, managed services, business transformation. There are also ISV partners who provide tools and emulation services. And Microsoft has the largest partner ecosystem in the world. We leverage this extended partner community to ensure that our customers are closing all the gaps, either with multiple niche vendors or a single large provider. And as a cloud service provider, we're appropriate strategic advisors. So we are constantly working with and investigating partners to help our customers within all these areas and building things like migration templates, system blueprints, best practice architectures, and working to provide change management, advisement, all fall into the areas of innovation for partners that will enable the customer.
Awesome. And partners are definitely key. I know certainly in the enterprise space, the commercial space where I come from, and if we look at those 1,000 very large customers that have adopted Azure for their SAP landscape, partners played a key role in that, as you pointed out, Lily. Not just to lift, shift, migrate, but to transform and innovate, which kind of brings all that stuff together. And I know you've had a deep relationship with these partners through your career, and certainly on your 5 years here with Microsoft. I want to give some opportunity to wrap up here real quickly. Lily, let me offer it up to you, some closing comments.
Yeah, I'd just like to, thank our customers for their trust and entrusting us with their data. It's a privilege to, be at Microsoft and to partner with government customers and SAP to solve their most mission critical issues and to drive innovation into their technology. And it's we look forward to doing a lot more in this space. I do feel that government is at the beginning of its hyperscale journey. There's a lot that's been done, but there's still a lot left to do. And so I definitely look forward to supporting customers and working with all of our partners to support customers. And I did want to thank Carahsoft. As Marshall noted, we have launched our Azure Government Secret offering, and we are looking to partner deeply with Carahsoft to enable key capabilities in that air-gapped cloud, and will be especially critical as we look to partner with small businesses, 8.8 partners, ISVs, and in particular advanced workloads such as SAP. So thank you to our customers and thank you to our partners.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you so much for that. I got to tell you, in the meetings I've been in with you and your passion for really being customer obsessed. And so I really appreciate you joining us. Marshall, some closing comments from you.
Yeah, sure. I want to thank everyone for taking time, spend time with us today. We're here to help. I mean, we'd like to help, whether it's agencies getting started with cloud, we can certainly help advise with our, not only basically with some best practices, but also some of the solutions, some of the services that are on the platform. And also we can help advise with your digital transformation, your journey as you move to the cloud and beyond. So we're certainly want to be a part of this with you.
Awesome. Thanks, Marshall. Well, friends, it looks like we're right about the end of our program today. So I would like to thank my friends Lily and Marshall for participating today, and thank you, our audience, for tuning in. Now, the full webcast has been recorded, and you'll receive a link to watch it again in your email later this week. Keep an eye out, and feel free to pass it along to any of your colleagues. I know we flashed up a slide showing some links where you get some more information from us, And on behalf of Microsoft and my friends Lillian Marshall and Carosoft, thanks everyone for joining in, and we look for you attending our future telecast.